Well, the White House said out loud the other day that it's coordinating with the tech monopolies to censor anything it deems to be misinformation.
We are in regular touch with these social media platforms, and those engagements typically happen through members of our senior staff, but also members of our COVID-19 team. Given, as Dr. Murthy conveyed, this is a big issue of misinformation, specifically on the pandemic. We've increased disinformation research and tracking within the Surgeon General's office. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation.
Imagine admitting that from the podium during a White House briefing. Yeah, the White House is actually in control of the information that you receive on your phone because the First Amendment doesn't exist. Politicians have taken over the media, but that's totally fine because it's disinformation. They said that out loud, and today they didn't backtrack or apologize or fire the person who said it and disavow what she said because it's crazy, unconstitutional behavior. They doubled down. The same person, Joe Biden's press secretary, said that if you're banned on one social media platform, you should be banned everywhere.
Providing for Facebook or other platforms to measure and publicly share the impact of misinformation on their platform and the audience it's reaching. Also with the public, with all of you, to create robust enforcement strategies that bridge their properties and provide transparency about rules. You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
We really try not to lead with upsetting stories on Fridays because it's Friday and you're going into the weekend and it's a great country and not everything is bad news. But it's kind of hard to avoid this. You should be totally silenced if you disagree with the Joe Biden White House? Really? That's what they're saying. And again, they're not ashamed of it. This afternoon, the president himself explained that if social media companies don't comply with these orders, then effectively they're guilty of murder.
What's your message to platforms like Facebook?
They're killing people. I mean, look, the only pandemic we have is among the unvaccinated. And they're killing people.
They're killing people? Well, what do you do to those who are killing people? Anything you want, because they're murderers. It's hard to believe all of this. Glenn Greenwald is an independent journalist. You can find his work on Substack. He's written an awful lot about this topic. He joins us tonight. Glenn, thanks so much for coming on. Boy, you were once called paranoid. I have been too. I mean, I don't think you can be paranoid enough about, what is this about talk like this?
I think it's really important, Tucker, and I'm really glad that you started the show talking about the Hunter Biden laptop story, because that, for me, is the original sin. I really regard that as the most egregious act of censorship, brute censorship, in the last decade, if not my lifetime. Remember, the New York Post got hold of huge numbers of documents revealing serious questions, not about Hunter, but about Joe Biden. Twitter banned any attempt to post the link on its platform. If you posted the link, it said this is an invalid link. And Facebook, a monopoly, said through a Democratic lifelong operative that they would algorithmically suppress the story. So tech giants, 3 weeks before an election, barred Americans from hearing about reporting from an authentic laptop. You know, we talk all the time about how China is so tyrannical because they restrict the internet. Right now we're talking about how Cuba is so repressive because they don't allow citizens access to the internet. That's what was done in the 2020 election. The tech companies, together with the corporate media, based on a lie by the CIA that's Russian disinformation, censored the internet, and Joe Biden won. And when they did that, they saw that very few people will object, and that became their governing strategy. Remember, shortly thereafter, they kicked Trump off the internet. Then they removed Parler, which was at the time the most popular app that was being downloaded by Americans, because they promised, we're going to allow you free speech. And now 5 months later, there she is at the podium proudly boasting that she's dictating to social media companies what people need to be banned and what content needs to be removed if the White House considers it disinformation. This is as tyrannical as it gets.
I'm glad you mentioned Cuba, because even today, idiot Republicans on the Hill spent their whole day talking about the lack of freedom in Cuba, and it's not a free country, that's true, But increasingly, neither are we, and they don't seem to notice what's going on in the country they're supposed to be running, and they're spending all their time focused on this Caribbean nation. It's not central to our interests. I mean, doesn't the First Amendment say pretty clearly the government is not allowed to control the press? I thought that was the point of it. Here, the government seems to be controlling the press.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the whole point of the Make America Great Again, America First foreign policy as articulated by Donald Trump and his allies in Congress was we shouldn't be fixing other countries. We should be focusing on our own country and making lives better for Americans. And it's very easy to talk about censorship in Beijing or Havana, but what about right in front of your noses, right down the street at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
Right.
And I think that's exactly the point is, you know, you have what is genuinely an act of censorship by the state, and there's case law that says that if the government coerces private actors to do the kinds of censorship that the government itself can't do, that in itself becomes unconstitutional. Remember, the executive branch has huge power over Facebook and these other companies, so when they make suggestions about the list of people they want banned, of course it's not a suggestion, it's coercion, and the law says that that is a free speech issue because the government is engaging in the type of censorship they couldn't do on their own by pressuring private actors to do it for them.
Yeah, when the President of the United States says they're murderers, yeah, I would say that's coercion. Glenn Greenwald, thank you for your clarity, as always. I appreciate it very much.
Good to be with you, Tucker.